Have you ever stood at a harbor, watching a massive cargo ship slowly glide across the water, and noticed something strangely consistent? No matter where you are in the world, almost every large ship has the same detail. A deep red section painted along the bottom of its hull, just beneath the waterline. It's bold, it's eye-catching, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. But why red? Is it meant to scare off sea creatures? Is it camouflage for the ocean? Or just some old tradition no one bothered to change? The truth is far more fascinating, and it begins hundreds of years ago, when the ocean was far more dangerous than it looks today. Let's go back to the age of wooden ships. In those days, ships weren't just vehicles. They were targets. The moment a wooden ship entered the sea, it became a magnet for life. Tiny organisms began attaching themselves almost instantly. Algae spread like a green film. Barnacles clung tightly to the hull. Seaweed wrapped around every surface it could find. And then there were shipworms. Small, worm-like creatures that could literally bore into the wood and slowly destroy the ship from the inside out. This entire process is called biofouling, and it was a serious problem. At first, it might not seem like much. A few barnacles here and there, some slime on the surface. But over time, it added up. A heavily fouled ship became slower, heavier, and much harder to control. Some ships lost up to half their speed. Imagine trying to cross an ocean, escape a storm, or outrun an enemy while dragging an entire ecosystem beneath your hull. In those days, speed wasn't just important. It could mean the difference between life and death. Sailors needed a solution, and eventually they found one, in copper. By the late 1700s, shipbuilders began covering the bottoms of wooden ships with thin sheets of copper metal. It turned out copper had a powerful natural property. It was toxic to many marine organisms. Barnacles couldn't stick to it. Algae struggled to grow. Shipworms couldn't survive. For the first time, ships could stay clean, fast, and efficient over long journeys. It was a breakthrough that changed naval travel forever. But progress always comes with new challenges. As the Industrial Revolution took hold, wooden ships were replaced by iron and steel. Stronger, bigger, and more durable. But they introduced a new problem. Copper and iron don't get along. When these two metals come into contact in salt water, they create an electrochemical reaction, essentially turning the hull into a battery. And that reaction causes rapid corrosion, eating away at the metal. So attaching copper sheets was no longer an option. Engineers had to rethink everything. Instead of covering ships in copper, they decided to use chemistry. This led to the invention of anti-fouling paint, a special coating designed to do exactly what copper sheets once did, but without damaging the ship. The key ingredient, copper oxide. And here's where the mystery of the red color finally makes sense. Copper oxide naturally has a reddish, rusty tone. So when ships were coated with this protective paint, they turned red, not for style, not for symbolism, but because that's simply the color of the chemistry that kept the ship alive. Over time, this practical solution became a global standard. Ship after ship, fleet after fleet, all carrying that same red underside across the oceans. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Today, technology has advanced far beyond those early paints. Modern anti-fouling coatings can be engineered in almost any color you can imagine. Blue, green, black, even custom shades. So why haven't we moved on from red? Part of the answer is tradition. The maritime world is deeply rooted in history. Practices that have worked for centuries are rarely abandoned without a good reason. The red hull has become a symbol, something familiar, trusted and instantly recognizable. But there's also a very practical reason it still exists. That sharp contrast between the red lower hull and the darker upper part of the ship creates a clear visual line right at the water's surface. This makes it much easier for crews to see how deep the ship is sitting in the water. And that matters more than you might think. Ships carry enormous amounts of cargo, and loading them correctly is critical. If a ship is too heavy, it sits lower in the water, which can be dangerous. That's why ships have something called a plimsoll line, a set of markings on the side of the hull that shows the maximum safe loading level. The red paint helps highlight this boundary, making it easier to monitor at a glance. So even today, that color serves a real purpose. It's not just history, it's function. So the next time you see a giant ship resting in a port or slowly crossing the horizon, take a closer look. That red strip along the bottom isn't just paint. It's a story that stretches back over 300 years. A story of sailors battling nature, of clever engineering solutions, and of traditions that refuse to fade away. It's proof that sometimes the smallest details carry the biggest histories. And once you know the reason behind it, you'll never look at a ship the same way again. Don't forget to subscribe, Instinct Timelines, to watch amazing videos in future.